everyone. All right, so I want to welcome everyone to our office hours for this month. We're trying to do this on a monthly basis. The last week of the month is when this you can expect it to take place. We're going to give ourselves some flexibility on the exact day of that. So the best way to keep track of it is actually through LinkedIn. We've been announcing them there and giving you the registration. So I see some familiar names. It's great to see you all joining today. We've got kind of, just as an introduction, my name is Johanna and I'm a customer success manager here. And I have primarily been doing consulting and onboarding for our customers for a little over 4 years now. And then we have Jason's here. He's going to be presenting today about Dispatch HQ, which is a huge project that the team's been working on for, I'd say, about a year now, Jason.
Feels like it.
It feels like
Yeah.
it. But Jason is our product manager. And so he'll be able to, walk you guys through this. Just as like a little disclaimer, it is in beta testing right now. So, we are trying to give you guys a sneak peek at what's coming, how you can benefit from it, and what the team's been working on. And then Craig here, he's going to watch chat and give you guys some links and things like that throughout our conversation today. So just a couple other things. Right now, if you guys are at DataCon, the team is there. So definitely stop by and say hi. And then a few of us will be at IT Nation next week. Both Jason and I will actually be there. So if you are there, please come say hi. We'd love to see you guys. And we're here to help. So any questions or anything like that. So the way this kind of works, if you weren't here with us previously, we're going to give you the presentation on Dispatch HQ, and then we're going to open it up. So please feel free to send over questions to the Q&A or the chat. We'll kind of keep track of those and answer. And it doesn't have to be specifically about Dispatch HQ. If you have other questions about TimesS, please bring them to us. But with that said, go ahead, Jason. Show us what you guys have been working on.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the introduction. Super excited to talk about Dispatch HQ and the capabilities that we've been working on. Like I said, that feels like it's been over a year, but we've been doing a lot of customer interviews and understanding what the pain points specific to what we are trying to deliver within this capability. So I am sharing my screen. Just want to make sure, is it good here? Y'all can see it? Joe,
Oh,
can you tell? Is it sharing?
yep, it's
Okay.
Sharon. We're good.
Okay. All right, sweet. So I'm just taking a look at the initial, the TimesList application itself. We're going to be introducing the Dispatch HQ menu item here on the left-hand side. So let's start off with the introduction of what we are trying to accomplish here. We understand that today with TimesList, y'all are sending out these scheduling requests, and saving time is the key point of the communication, right? Trying to eliminate the typical ping pong conversation between your client and yourself to try to get something on the calendar to meet up with either the engineer, salesperson, whoever, somebody on your team that needs to meet with your client. That's been great. We've been super successful with it. Now we want to understand, kind of just focus it down a little bit more on those scheduled events that have already been scheduled, right? Those appointments that are already on your calendar. How do we maintain that? Because it's not a set appointment at all times. Things change. An engineer, salesperson, whoever might need to reschedule that appointment. Um, that individual might be unavailable during that time, so it might need to be reassigned to somebody else. How do we take care of that? We've been hearing a lot of a lot of those requests, and also too on our feature request page, how do we take care of those situations without having to cancel that appointment with the client and be able to have them re-engage to then try to schedule an appointment again? Also, at the same time, we're looking at the capability of being able to see multiple calendars. How is it that your dispatcher, service managers, anybody else who has access to multiple calendars out there, how are they able to see that within one system? currently today with the customers that I've interviewed, they're having to have multiple screens up whenever they're dispatching out and assigning service tickets to their team. I've got my PSA calendar on one side, their own Outlook calendar as well, to be able to see what they have available. Then it takes a little bit of coordination here to be able to see what's available to then assign out a times a scheduling request or even the ticket itself to get it out scheduled. How can we make that available? Because we have this integration already with your PSA and your Microsoft 365 calendar to be able to see it all in one screen. That's what we're trying to do within Dispatch HQ. Now, I'm going to go right into it. Just unveil, our early preview of this. It is an early preview, right? So it's not exactly what we want it to look like right at the moment. We just wanted to make sure and check the functionality first. We're going to do some more stylization here. At first glance of this, wanted you to see that we have our capabilities to be able to see the typical engineers and salespeople, the users of your company here. Typical standard calendar view of being able to do that. So I can actually add additional users as we need. Oops, my autofill is just acting up on me. But yes, our TimeZest users that have access to that we can actually see is going to be listed here, so we can actually see who we want to be able to bring in. And then also too, we've also have the month view, I'm sorry, the week view and the daily view as well. So just in case if you needed to see a full week's worth of tickets that are being assigned out, or just on the daily view, we want to make sure of that as well. I want to stop here real quick because I want to make sure that as I'm going through this presentation and I'm showing you the different capabilities of what Dispatch HQ includes, feel free to just post it in the chat, in the Q&A, anything like that. We'll be able to answer any questions that you have. Okay, so going back right into it, I want to go through the typical scenario of what we were talking about earlier when it comes to being able to see those appointments that are specific to a TimeZest schedule appointment versus just a regular item that just got assigned out to the engineer or the technician, installation person, salesperson, whatever. Excuse me. So a TimeZest schedule appointment is just that, right? We worked on a service ticket, then we sent out that TimeZest scheduling request. The client went through the typical choosing a date and time, and it gets added onto their PSA calendar or their Outlook calendar, whatever the case may be. The challenge that we've heard from many customers today is what's the distinction? How do I tell that in my current calendar that I have? What is the difference between an actual TimeZest meeting that the person that the resource has to attend versus just something that I just put and assigned out to their calendar so they can work on it at any point in time? We're accomplishing that by this simple little TimeZest icon right here, right? So we're shown here as a visual sense. These are all of the TimeZest appointments that the client chose from to meet with Ben, Guy, and Pat, and they have to attend it at this point in time. So I know as a dispatcher, as a service manager, that Pat right now has to be in this meeting because that is an actual TimeZest schedule appointment. Whereas something like without that icon, maybe this simple sales discovery ticket just got assigned to them and they just need to review it, take a look at the details, and potentially send out the TimeZest scheduling request from there. What we could do as well, being able to filter for that. So if it just makes it a little bit easier for you to be able to maintain the day, we can actually see and use the hard-coded TimeZest scheduled tag that we could apply, that we've already applied to each of these TimeZest scheduled appointments. And now just again, it's just a visual sense to be able to easily see what is a true appointment that these individuals, that these resources have to attend, and gives them that sense and that visibility to see what is actually being scheduled and what they need to work on. All right, so I'm going to take this out. I want to go right into the next thing to take a look at is the capability to be able to reassign something. Actually, let me see.
Hey,
Joe, do
Kasuga.
we got some questions, I
Yeah,
think, right?
Yes.
yeah, we do. Does adding users also allow for adding individuals by team group?
Not yet, not yet. We wanted to just make sure we can get the the capability to view the users and their calendars for the moment. In early preview, we just wanted to get that working. We do have something in our list to try to give you that capability to um filter by an existing team or create your own view or team, whatever you want to call it, your own view of individual users so then you can use it and reference it for a future use. And that's going to be on a per user basis. So you, in your instance of TimesS that you're logging into, that's your specific view. It's not like a shared thing that everybody else will be able to see. So they'll be able to add their own.
Okay. I think that kind of answers Andy's as well, if you can say filters for later use.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna get to that one. Like specific to, well, saving filters, no, because currently today we don't do that. Once your session is over, the filters get removed, so we don't have that yet. I could take a note of it, or Craig, do you mind? Can you take a note of that real quick, please?
Yeah.
Actually, never mind. We've got the Q&A, so I'm just going to reference that later. I do like that, so I want to see if that's a consideration. Andy, you did say that in the Q&A, so I want to
Mhm.
take note of that. I want to say at the moment, unfortunately, not. We can't save the filter for future use, but is there a way to be able to do that? Say if you have like, 5 filter sets that you want to be able to just call up any time to then find out those details. It's a great idea. We just don't have that at the moment.
Okay. I think that's um I guess Fred's question here is a good topic to kind of cover is, isn't this view already available in the PSA, in the ConnectWise PSA specifically is what he mentioned.
Yeah, I mean that was our first iteration with this, right? So right now you could see the calendar entries from your PSA, and that's what this is today. What we're looking to try to accomplish in our future vision of Dispatch HQ is multi-calendar capabilities. Being able to see, let's say for example, Ben. Ben has an integration to their or I'm sorry, TimesS has integration to the PSA to Ben's calendar, PSA calendar, as well as the Office 365 Outlook calendar. Can we see both calendar events in one single view if there's any chance that Ben might have specific calendar entries in Outlook that may not be entered inside of your PSA? Right? So we wanted to have that. Today, your PSA doesn't have that unless it's the calendar sync. Yes, that does exist today, but there may be some options or some things that may not sync or may not be able to pull through that we want to still see within this single calendar view. Also, too, what's coming out in the future? What TimesS is thinking about is that capability to be able to sync into and integrate with other calendars as well. Again, our grand scheme of things, our potential thoughts are, can Dispatch HQ be the single source of just every single calendar that we can integrate with to be able to see it all in a single place?
And then Josh also has a question that I think is prudent for this point in the conversation is who would have access to this, users or admins? If only admins, my dispatcher does not have admin rights and I would not want her to have full admin rights.
Yeah,
So,
good question. Good question. We're working through that now. Our engineers are doing this at the moment where we are setting some requirements on a view and edit rights. Right now with the Dispatch HQ capability, the user must have an active TimesS license to be able to see and edit if they have that right to be able to do so within Dispatch HQ. So 4 scenarios I want to just go over. The TimesS administrator, that is an active licensed user. That is the top level. All you can see, have access to the individual calendars and be able to do the editing, which I'm going to be showing here in a second, having that capability to be able to reschedule and reassign the user. Okay, now we have a TimesS administrator who is not an active user. Again, they could still see those calendars, but they can't take action upon it to do the rescheduling or the reassignment. Third scenario is the user, right? So if they have a user role within the TimesS app, and they are an active schedulable user, They have access to only their own calendar view. They can't see anybody else's, but they'll have that capability to reschedule their own um, appointments if they needed to. And then lastly, a user who is just a user for some reason, if they wanted to just have access to Dispatch HQ, they could see their calendar, but they can't do anything about it. There's no edits or anything like that.
Okay. And then let's go ahead with the presentation and we'll address some other questions here at the end. And then Brian, I saw you raise your hand. Go ahead and put it in question Q&A or chat for now, if you
Yeah, let's
would.
keep going. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
And we're always up for discussion as well, with the security rights, because that is super important. We want to make sure that only certain users have access to certain things. So we want to be able to listen to that as well and adjust if we need. All right, so let's go through the scenario now of the reassignment capability, or doesn't exist today, right? So we listened to that inside of our feature request page, just being able to reassign it to another person just because the client wants to be able to meet at that specific time. They don't necessarily care who they are speaking to, as long as their issue is resolved during the time that they choose, because that's when they're available. And how do we do that within TimeZest without you guys having to cancel that appointment or just reassigning it to somebody else on the PSA side? It doesn't really have an effect on that actual TimeZest appointment in terms of the Teams meeting, and other access too, like the host rights of that Teams meeting. How can we get it to that new individual without having to disrupt the client side of things with the appointment that they have? In this example, let's just assume that Ben called out for the day. Just cannot be free for this service ticket here, or the one that's an actual TimeZest scheduled appointment. By clicking into it, this is the other thing I wanted to show you, just a quick fly out to just the quick details to be able to see of that service ticket. Now you do have access to be able to go into the service ticket if you wanted to see all of it, but our intention here was just giving you the quick tidbits that you need if you're on a call with the client, or if you just needed to get a quick glimpse of what that service ticket or that scheduled call is all about. We don't need to see all the details of that ticket, like, I don't know, ticket templates. We don't need to see the finance information. It's not always relevant in the conversation right then in your fingertips. So we wanted to show the quick stuff right away, what the actual appointment is about, who is it scheduled to, if there's multiple people on the TimeZest request, what kind of appointment is it, stuff like that. We've got some more details of the service ticket as well, like your configurations, if you guys had some assets that are assigned to this thing, or notes that has like some audit trail or whatnot. We do have that still visible, but we just wanted to make sure that you get the details of the TimeZest scheduling request up front, and then also to given that the capability, like I said here, to be able to reschedule or reassign it right from here. So going back to the to this scenario, Ben called out or Ben is just not available. I need to give it to somebody else. So how do we do that? Simple reassignment to somebody within the team that we know that is capable of doing that. I saw here, let me exit out this real quick. I saw that Pat's available on my team, so I'm just going to go ahead and reassign it to Pat on this open slot, because we're only simply just reassigning the event, the appointment, but we're not actually rescheduling it to a different time, right? So then that just gives us that freedom right here to also then, I'm just hovering over my mouse just to show that you do have the existing TimeZest appointment type workflows that goes out. If you wanted to have that option to do that, if you wanted to send any other correspondence with workflow actions within TimeZest. In this case, because we're reassigning it, we're also rescheduling it because it includes that variable to meet with a specific person. So now we're including that option to be able to reschedule it to say, hey, client, this appointment got rescheduled. Now it's going to be with Pat Jones now in this case. So simply selecting the reassign appointment option, that just makes it moves all of the TimeZest schedule details over for Pat now to take over the call. Teams meeting gets re-updated the calendar invite on the client side gets updated. All of that stuff with the specific TimesZest meeting will get updated in this case, and then it can get reassigned out and continued on from there to hopefully get a resolution as quickly as possible. Right? Okay.
Okay.
Next one I want to look at is rescheduling. I'm sorry. Yes, rescheduling. Okay. So we reassign it to user, and that can be done here real quickly. I want to go into this next scenario here. I wanted to show you this one right at this moment. Ben, for some reason was able to come back. I don't know. Ben just couldn't work on that previous ticket, but this time Ben is just not available at 1 o'clock. Actually, it's another use case scenario that the client's just not available at 1 o'clock. They'll call you up and say, "Hey, I got a 1 o'clock call with Ben and Pat. Can we push it out to a little bit later in the day?" Okay. How do we do that? They have that capability today to go inside of the TimesZest meeting and reschedule it. But what happens if they're on a call with you, or um, maybe even Ben himself just cannot meet because the previous meeting is overlapping, just running late, any kind of scenario that 1 o'clock is not available for any of us. So we just need to reschedule it. Right. So going in here, you can see here as well, we've got the scheduled users. So we have both Ben and Pat displaying here. So that's a panel scheduling, right? So we've scheduled in this specific meeting to meet with Gus, my client, to go over this back office hard drive installation, whatever this phone call is about, to be able to be assigned to Ben and Pat. So if we need to reschedule it for both of them, we simply just pick a date and time that we want. And I wanted to show you here, the nice thing about this one too, what we're trying to accomplish is a visual sense of what's more available for you. As you can see, it's color coded, red, yellow, and green. I mean, we're trying to make this obvious to show green is the most available, so it has the best amount of time slots to choose from. Yellow, midway there, it's got some things on the calendar that are both free and not free. And then red, we're trying to just show you visually that their day is pretty full, so it may not be best to be able to choose that day to be able to go for. So let's just say we needed to schedule it out just a little bit later in the day, still the 30th today. Even though it's red, TimesZest, because we know the availability of their calendars, we're not showing every single time slot that's out there. Okay, so these are the only available times. So if you have to reschedule it because a client is asking you to, this is where we're giving you that power to be able to make that decision on what time that you want to schedule that call on. So 1:30 is just best. We do have that option here as well to be able to show all time slots if you wanted to override. We just turn it off by default because we know that we want to make sure that you don't overbook or double book an appointment. And again, I can reschedule this thing to the next available slot that I choose from. It's going to reassign both users, both Ben and Pat, and be able to adjust the calendar as well when it comes to the Teams meeting and stuff like that. That's our goal here, is to make it easier for you guys to be able to reassign it and reschedule the meeting also. How is everything so far? Any?
Yeah, so I mean, we've had a couple of questions here. Some I want to kind of say till the end.
Okay.
But Fred, I'm not, maybe Jason, you'll get this a little bit better, but what would be very useful would be to do the scheduling for the ConnectWise PSA directly here. Now we have to copy paste the link. If we could click on the TimesZest link in the ticket, if we could open this screen to schedule, it would be great. So I think he's talking about actually scheduling appointments from this screen instead of going into the tickets.
Yes. There is a feature request out there. We haven't I want to say it's similar to be able to say, if I'm already here inside of Dispatch HQ, can I create a meeting? I think that's what you're talking about, Fred.
Yeah.
Can I just simply create a TimesZest meeting with the resource, with the appointment type, and then just kick it out to the client to go from there? Yes, we saw that and we want to research on that. Just it's just not we didn't do it right now. We want to be able to see can we do that in a future iteration.
So I mean, this is definitely version one, right? So we are collecting this information. Jason's been collecting it to make a version, two down the road. Actually, Jason, you had mentioned opening your door for meetings to have conversations about this, correct? Is that
Oh yeah.
something? So, Craig, if you could put Jason's meeting link in the chat for everyone, if you want to give some feedback and have a conversation about Dispatch HQ, definitely, schedule some time with Jason to talk through that. Um,
And
and then, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say real quick, Josh, I got you, man. We're gonna schedule some time. I already have you on the list. He already joined the beta group, so we're gonna
Okay.
be meeting up here soon.
Josh also put into the QA, can we send a reschedule email to the client from here to allow them to pick a new date and time rather than our dispatcher just picking a time? Our techs are free, but the user might not be.
Hold on, one more time. Let me read that again. Can we reschedule an email? Send this the reschedule email to the client to pick a new date and time rather than just like if it's the resource that's not free to be able to reschedule. I mean, they already have that. The client already has that in their meeting invite
No,
to be able to
I think
reschedule the
what
meeting.
he's saying, Jason, is like right now in the flyout, the
Uh-huh.
dispatcher is choosing the time to reschedule to, correct? So that means you would need the customer's confirmation that that time actually works for them. So it would be a customer requested time reschedule because we're not ever looking at the customer's
Oh, sure, sure.
availability, right?
I gotcha.
So is there a way to just send the customer an email that's saying, hey, we need to reschedule this appointment. Please choose a new time.
I mean, at the moment, no, just because they'd have to go inside of the PSA to copy the scheduling link that already existed, right, from the Times S pod or the Insight, um, and then copy that to send it in from the ticket, so then the client can see that the link to be able to reschedule. Yeah,
There's
I
something
get it.
I'm wondering here, if you have rescheduling and cancellation turned on, when they receive that new meeting confirmation, if it doesn't work for them, it should show up that they can reschedule and cancel it as well. So they will have that option because the button will be in that confirmation email, correct?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Well,
like
okay, but no, just real quick, the default confirmation email template does.
right,
If y'all have your
the
custom
custom ones.
templates, yeah, you just need to make sure you do include that
Yep.
button to be able to cancel or reschedule.
Now, and I've also seen a few questions here about licensing. And I understand you guys are, that we don't want to have to pay for a dispatcher to have a license. I understand that. We can bring that feedback back to leadership. Um, but right now they're moving towards that to have access to this, you do have to have an active license at this time.
Yep.
Okay, and we only have the one licensing type at this time too. So that's definitely something I can bring to leadership and we can chat through what that looks like in the future.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay. I'll go ahead and proceed. I got two more things to
yep.
look at. Wanted to show y'all real quick the tagging capability. So another thing that we wanted to put in here for the benefit of the person that's maintaining the appointments and calendars for visibility sake. Right now, if you're looking at your PSA, there's not really a way to distinguish like what kind of a call this is. We've talked about that as a times as scheduled appointment, but what about other scenarios of things like I want to see all of my on-site calls, or I want to see all of my remote sessions that are 30 minutes long, something like that, right? I want to be able to be able to tag these kinds of appointments out there that helps me to indicate and also do filter based off of that. So we're adding tagging here. So then you can create your own tags so it is specific to what you want. And then also too, to be able to add it into the appointments whenever they get created. So just in case if they say, for example, this one is an on-site appointment, we can actually tag it to have this on-site tag. And whenever we have our filtering, that's what we can look for to say, I want to be able to find all of my on-site appointments that are tagged this way, so then we can see who is going where from an on-site perspective. So then I can kind of nudge them, say like it's like 15, 20 minutes coming up before that meeting's about to start. Like, hey, better hurry up and go because you've got an on-site call coming up, right? How you can also see that as well, I'm going to just take that out, is the last thing I want to talk about is the zooming capability. Again, going back into your current PSA, you've got, the overall view of the calendar. What is it? You see the name of the company and like a quick title, but that's just about it. I want to get a little bit of a better glance of these things, not by going into the service ticket itself or just that to-do item, the appointment, whatever PSA that you're using. Um, we want to be able to see it in quick view without having to go into the ticket, backing out, stuff like that. So I can't see it with the video, but I'm just using my mouse and the scroll wheel to be able to zoom in and see a little bit more detail here. So right now at the moment, I just wanted you to see that we're trying to introduce this concept of zooming, so then you can just quickly see what's going on that specific area, just in case if there's additional tags, if there's more details of the ticket, stuff like that. We're trying to add in here, so then whenever you need to just be able to just take a quick look and just say, hey, what is Pat working on at this time at 11 o'clock? Uh, that's where you can see that detail without having to click on the flyout or the ticket to see the details. We're just trying to make it here quick so then you can get onto your day to move on to the next subject and topic that you need to look at.
Okay. Is that about what you have today, Jason, or?
That's what I wanted to share today,
Okay.
and I just need to reiterate that again. This is version one. This is what we just wanted to test out to see, is this going to work out? We've got grand visions of this thing, of what we talked about earlier, and even more stuff that we've heard of, and what our customers were saying that they don't have today. We want to explore those things now that our engineering team is done with the first pass of this thing. What can we do more to tack on top of this that is going to make it even more valuable for you? So the link to schedule the product feedback, that's a great thing. The feature request page is always a great thing. Anything that we could do to hear from you guys, we want to make sure that we build this thing out properly, and make sure it works out for you as well. So early preview, it's going to look better. It's going to behave better. We're just making that first pass.
Yeah, Craig, if you'll go ahead and put the feature request page in the chat for everyone, and then let's go ahead and answer some more questions. And go ahead, you guys, if you have them. It does not have to be specific to Dispatch HQ as well. If you have other questions about TimesS, please go ahead and send them over. But let's go through some of these. These ones are related to Dispatch. How does this work if you have a team assigned as the original dispatch? Does it reschedule with the team availability, same rules, or does it only reschedule for the individual it's currently scheduled with? So I'm guessing when you're saying team, you're talking about our team scheduling, which is like auto dispatching, right? So it's grabbing from those group of resources. So how does that work with team scheduling? I know you touched on panel scheduling. Will it go back and reference the original team?
No, it's still going to pull out the active users here when it needs to be reassigned.
Hmm.
So we didn't specify it to just the team involved, because there could be a potential to assign somebody else outside of the team. Think about it in the examples that we've heard, where it comes to an escalation. Okay, so if I needed to not only add or keep Guy in this appointment, but I need to add somebody else as well to join in the call. They may not necessarily be part of the team, so we just included everybody in this list. Now, great feedback. If that's something that's needed, we can certainly adjust to that. But at the moment, right now, we're leaving it open to all active users to be able to be selected here in case we needed to assign somebody else outside of the team.
Okay. Um, is there any plan to allow clicking on the Times Us drop down in the pod, right, to automatically open the default browser to the scheduling page? So instead of maybe clicking generate URL and then opening your browser and pasting it in, is there any plans to maybe having a quick access where it just opens the scheduling page?
It hasn't been considered yet. So I could say that there's no plans for it, but I think that
Definitely feature
is,
request.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's one that already exists of like, how can it open up just by clicking on it? I swear I've seen it. Like you just basically click on the link and it just automatically opens up a tab. I think
Yeah.
I believe that that already exists out there.
I would look at the feature request page. I always say it's not a black hole where good ideas go to die. We actually do review it and pull from it. So please use that to communicate these ideas. It helps us paint a picture, right? Um, Other things, presentation. So this is being recorded. It's going to be sent over to our marketing team and they're going to put it on our YouTube channel. So if you've never explored our YouTube channel, you can find some historical webinar recordings there, as well as quick little snippets. So the recording of this will go onto the YouTube channel. Go ahead and go follow us over there so you can stay up to date with those new recordings as well. Referencing tags, John was asking, did I understand correctly that tags can be added to the appointment creation, as in when the link is created in the ticket, will we have the option to add tags? Are tags part of the exportable appointment data? So my understanding is tags are applied here in Dispatch HQ, correct? Not from the pod itself. Is that
That's right.
correct?
It
Okay.
is specific to the appointment. So I'm going to add on to Josh's question if it's a workflow or a manual thing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
for this first iteration, it's a manual thing. We just wanted to get it out there to say, can you create and add tags at the moment? We don't have the smarts to, I mean, we have the smarts, mental smarts. TimesS doesn't have the smarts to know, um, is this a VIP customer client? Is this a remote thing? We want we know that um, can we implement some kind of logic that says if this specific appointment type is chosen to then include this tag. Um, so the answer is no at the moment. Um, and it is specific to the appointment itself, not within the ticket, within the pod or anything like that.
Okay. John's bringing up, I think we touched on this earlier, generally not reassigning alone. I understand the reassigning is more, they can no longer attend it. Maybe you have a tech call out sick, something of that sort, right? More asking about reassigning and rescheduling. So at this time, you would be choosing a new time for the customer when you are rescheduling and reassigning the appointment. And then they would, if it doesn't work for them, they would have to access the reschedule and cancellation page via the button, which is built into our default confirmation page. But if you have custom confirmation pages, you can, insert that as well. You would want to just make sure the verbiage is there. You could even put in there, if this time does not work for you, please feel free to reschedule this appointment, right? So communicating that they have the option to move it if the time does not work for them. Okay. I did see some other ones in here about localization. So Bart in chat, what is the status of auto localization? As in a pick list with languages to choose from, resulting in UI and variable content in selected language.
hold on, let me think about that. So that's the display on the client side scheduling page.
No, all local authorization.
With
That
tickets
might
and
be, yeah, for the client scheduling page, client face. Yeah. Thank you for the confirmation, Bart.
yeah, so it's only the language that's chosen on the email templates, and then that'll just translate to the chosen language there. And then when it gets to the scheduling page, that too, it is. I don't have an answer for that. I need to get back with you, Bart. Yeah, I I
Yeah,
I do not have an answer. I apologize. I'd like to. I don't want to give the wrong answer, so I want to make sure if I could do the research first. Um, I think I have some contact information, Bart. So if I could take a look at it and then I'll just reach out to you directly.
perfect. Another feature request question I saw asked earlier was about G Suite. Do we have plans? I know it is on the feature request page, so if you haven't voted that up, please do so. But it are there any plans that you have heard of or know of for doing an integration to G Suite?
That's what we want. It's not in the plans, but it's something that we want to understand the best pathway in the future of calendar integration to, either multiple calendars inside of Microsoft 365 and then also to other calendars out there like G Suite. Um, that's what we want to do and
Yeah.
hopefully bring into Dispatch HQ with that capability. So to make sure we answer it properly, it's not in the plan. It's something that we want to do to then get it into a plan to make it available.
Right. So it's not on the roadmap yet, but it is something internally we have discussed a lot. And like
So many
Jason
times.
said, multiple calendars as well, right? We know a lot of C-level have like multiple Outlook calendars that they are using, and it can get a little tricky if we can only read one of them, right? So that's another thing that we've internally had a lot of conversations about. How do we make this happen? So it's not, we are thinking of it. We are trying to look into how we can make those things happen. So again, the feature request page, I'm going to have Craig also put my scheduling link in the chat for you guys. I'm here to go through your systems. If you have any, improvements you want to make or talk through new features, I'm here to help. So please feel free to schedule a meeting with me as well. Are there any other last minute questions that we can go over for you guys before we wrap it up for the day?
Josh asked about
Yep.
entering the internal notes into the ticket
Mm-hmm.
whenever it gets reassigned or rescheduled. That's based off of your workflow. We talked about that here. I just showed you. If it ever needs to be reassigned, rescheduled, or whatnot, you've got the you've got that toggle that runs a specific workflow. So if you have a trigger on that appointment type that says when the client reschedules the appointment, you can run certain actions on that. One of them included in there is to add an internal note into your ticket. So as long as your workflow actions include the capability to be able to add an internal note, it'll work.
Okay. And then I think when that link was put in there, it put a dot in the wrong spot there. So I'll just give it you guys there. Um, I haven't seen any other questions. Last call, if you guys have any other questions. Otherwise, I hope we get to see you here soon in person. Please do stop by if you're going to IT Nation next week. We'd love to chat with you in person. And we're grateful for your time and energy today joining us. So please, again, use the feature request page. We want to hear from you. And we look forward to talking to everyone next month.